A lot of Christians feel uncomfortable with the word evangelism. One writer on evangelism, Rebecca Manley Pippert, says it's a thing you wouldn't want to do to your dog, let alone your best friend. That's how bad it is for some people. But I've come to feel that evangelism is a very positive thing. Sure, there are some bad models of how we don't want to do it, but I'm struck by the fact that Jesus was the first and the best evangelist, and people flocked to hear him. They loved it. So there is a good way of doing evangelism. And as I read the Bible about evangelism and I think about it and I watch it in action, there are 4 things that strike me in particular. Number 1, that evangelism is Christ-centered. It's not about becoming a religious weirdo. It's about becoming a follower of Jesus. Why? Because he is the source of life. He gives life in all its abundance, helps us become the person that God always intended for us to be. I want them to be followers of Jesus for that reason. That's number 1. Number 2 is that often evangelism happens most effectively in relationships. When you meet someone who's a new Christian, if you say, "How did it happen? What brought this about?" Normally they will say, "It was a member of my family," or "It was a friend," or "It was a colleague at work." It's through someone they know who shared their faith in a way that was non-threatening and holistic and healthy and very, very attractive. So often it happens through relationships. The third thing that's helped me in thinking about evangelism is that it is a process. There is some research that says it takes people between 6 months and 3 years from the time they begin to think seriously about faith to the time they think, yes, I want to be a follower of Jesus. I want to be baptized. It's not a quick thing. It's not a sudden, what we sometimes call Damascus Road experience. It takes time. And we want it to take time because it is a serious thing. There are intellectual issues to weigh up. There are lifestyle issues to weigh up. What is this going to mean for my career, for my relationships, for my use of money? Everything is going to change. And just as with marriage, we don't want people to rush into it because it's a big decision. So it's a process that takes time. And the 4th thing I've noticed is that often there is a mixture of things that Christians do that help someone come to faith. Yes, there are some who talk about the faith. That's where I often find my role happens. And it's important that there be talking, an explanation of who Jesus is and what he offers. But what some people contribute to that long process of evangelism is practical. Providing a casserole when someone is sick. Providing childcare at short notice when it's needed. It's practical things. And all of those work together to help the person take steps forward in that process to being a follower of Jesus. All this is one of the reasons I love Messy Church, because it feeds perfectly into that process of evangelism. Number 1, it's Christ-centered. It's right there in the mission statement. It's about Jesus, helping us to worship Jesus, know Jesus, and spread the good news about Jesus. Number 2, it's relationships. Because yes, lots of stuff happens at Messy Church, the crafts and the meal, but in part those are there to enable relationships to come into being, help people make friends. It's relational. Number 4, it is a whole mixture of stuff. Yes, there is the person who does the talk during the celebration, there are the songs which speak about Jesus, there's the prayers to Jesus, there's the spoken stuff. But then there are those people who run the crafts, and they do it with patience and compassion and taking an interest in the kids. There are those people often out of sight who've set up the room beforehand, and those who take time at the end when they're tired to clear up the room. And then those people way back in the kitchen preparing the food. So they are showing the love of Christ in practical ways, and those spoken things about Jesus and those lived realities of Jesus work together to help people in that process of moving towards being followers of Jesus. So that's why I love Messy Church, and my hunch is that's why you're going to love Messy Church as well. If you want to know more about this stuff, It's in the training materials that I have prepared. But I hope you find this a life-changing experience, not least in helping you yourself get to know Jesus better and enjoy evangelism.